Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the first page of our packet. Please go ahead, make sure you put your name at the top there on that front page. Make sure you put your name on the front page, please. So you've got that. You can put the date if you'd like to. That's kind of up to you. But make sure you have your name on it. And again, please make sure these packets go home with you. Even if you don't have anything to finish up with them, make sure they go home with you. All right, guys, so we're going to start with the idea, and actually, let's start with a little bit of real world here. Some of you might be responsible for buying some of your own food right now. Maybe some of you are responsible for buying a lot of your own things right now. If you aren't having to do those things right now, eventually in the future you will need to. Okay? Eventually you'll need to. So for example, if you're shopping for potato chips, you're going to come across many different size bags in the store. You're going to come across many different size bags. And if you're on a budget, you only have so much money to spend, you want to get the most bang for your buck. So if you're looking at two different size chips, you might be like, yeah, the party size, of course I'm going to get the bigger one. But is it really your better value? So the idea with rates today that we're going to talk about is going to help lead us to being able to answer that question when we're shopping in the store. Which one really is the better deal? Is it really a better deal for me to have to buy 2 bags of the smaller chips instead of the giant bag? Or is the giant bag a better deal? Bigger isn't necessarily always better. It's not always the cheaper deal. So we're going to figure out this.
You're buying $6 chips. That's crazy.
By using our units, using our rates. So, there we go. So let's start off with what the heck a rate actually is. A rate is a ratio that compares to different, I want to emphasize this, different, oh, I gotta squeeze it in here, quantities. If you remember back, what a ratio does is it compares two different amounts, is what a ratio does. So our rate is going to compare two different quantities. That's what our rate's going to do. So for example, we might have something like 10 miles compared to 4 hours. So ratios are going to compare. Our rate is the ratio that compares two different quantities, so like miles and hours. Or maybe it's $5 and 7 sodas.
$5 for 7 sodas, that would be
7 2-liters. Is that better? So we're comparing two different quantities. So miles are different than hours, dollars are different than how many bottles of soda we have. Now, if we want to get a little more specific, our focus wants to be on unit rates. Unit rates is a rate with a denominator. Remember, that's the bottom number of a fraction. It's a denominator of 1. So we have something like 10 miles to 4 hours, $5 per 7 sodas. I want to be able to figure out how many miles for just 1 hour? How many dollars for just one soda? We want to break it down per unit. So to change a rate, so to change our rates like 10 miles to 4 hours and $5 for 7 sodas, to change that rate to a unit rate, we just divide. And we're going to see this a bunch today. We're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. Because for us, 10 miles for 4 hours, well, that's not super meaningful for me. I want to know how many miles for 1 hour or how many dollars for just one soda. I want to know those types of things. Now, before we get into actually figuring some of these out, and we're just going to do a few together, then we're going to get in our groups to practice. Our symbol over on the left-hand side over in the margin. Write rates using the symbol, and it's going to be a slash. We've seen that symbol before. That can mean division. How we read it, though, when we're talking about our rates, this is read as per, P-E-R. So how many dollars per one soda? How many miles per 1 hour is what we want to try to figure out. So what we're going to be doing, we read our directions. We want to express each rate as a unit rate. Round to the nearest tenth when necessary. So instead of 364 miles in 7 hours, I want to know how many miles I'm getting for 1 hour. So in order to do that, we take the 364 miles and we divide by 7 hours. We take the 364. If you don't have your calculator right now, it's okay. I know we've been working on a little bit of graphing things, so we haven't needed them lately. I'll let you grab them in just a minute before we get in our groups. If we do the division, this works out to be 52. So 52 miles per hour. So let's work with our slash. Let's work with our symbol. So for per, let's use the slash. So 52 miles per hour. That's more meaningful to me. Now I know how much I'm getting out of 1 hour instead of the whole big picture. So make sure we're using the slash, okay? So what I want us to do, we're going to go ahead and get in our groups, and we're going to work our way through our practice on the front side of this sheet. When we have the front side of this sheet finished, it'll be time for us to take our break, and then we'll come back, and we saw in our agenda earlier, we want to then look at unit rates more so with just specifically prices, okay? All right, if you're working on this at home, please go ahead and check your answers. If you need to pause the video as you go, you sure can. Just please make sure, I talked about with class, that with something like number 2, it talks about rounding to the nearest tenth. So the 10th spot is the spot right after the decimal. So number 2 would round to be 7.8. If you have to round, you should be using a squiggly equal sign. So if you need to pause at any time, I'm just going to scroll through so you can check your answers. Be careful in numbers 9 and 10. It's not just always going to be the first number divided by the second number. You want students per teacher. So you have to take the number of students divided by the number of teachers. Same in number 10, miles per gallon. You have to do the number of miles divided by the number of gallons.
How come you guys missed the classroom?
Oh, I did. All right, guys, what I need you to do for me, and I apologize, the packet's printed a little bit goofy. First of all, let's make sure our phones are put away. And I need you to turn, I apologize again, these printed kind of goofy. I need you to turn to page 4 for me. So it's the back side of the second sheet. These print a little goofy, and it's kind of a thick packet, so I didn't want to go through and reprint. So No big deal, just turn to page 4. All right, so what we've been working on is we were looking at rates. Now, specifically, we're going to finish up today looking at unit rates specifically with price. Now, for most of us, a unit rate with price is going to come in most handy for us. This is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning of class. Someday you're going to have to start buying your own things. Maybe some of you do already. Now, when you're buying some of your own things, maybe you haven't really thought about, which thing is actually the better deal.
I don't use that. I like IHOP.
So in order to see which thing is the better deal, you want to figure out how much you're paying for each individual thing. So a unit rate, you have unit prices, give the cost per 1 unit. So if you have maybe a 12-pack of something, or you have 8 markers, or whatever the case may be, maybe you have 24 bottles of water. This is especially helpful when comparison shopping in order to find the best deal. That's what we talked about at the beginning of class and what we just talked about now. So to find the unit price, always we're still going to divide the price by the quantity. Now, quantity means how many you have. So by the quantity, it's how many. So if I want to find the price of each thing, whether it's cans of soup, whether it's ounces, whether it's price per bottle, price per box of Kleenexes, whatever it is, this is going to help you figure out what the better deal is. So not much changes from our rates we were working with on the front, except for the specific of its price divided by how many you have. So if we look at question 11, we want to take the price divided by how many I have. So $9 divided by 5 cans. Now, when you're working with money, round to the nearest cent. So that's 2 decimal places after the decimal point. So if I round this, we end up, actually I think this one works out. $9.40 divided by 5 cans, yep. This is $1.88 per can. It's $1.88. Let me fix my dollar sign there. Maybe it's kind of goofy. It's $1.88 per can. It's $1.88 per can. If I have a box of 210 tissues, and maybe I want to compare it with a box that has 500 tissues, and I want to know what the better deal is, I need the price per tissue. So we have to be careful. It's like we saw in numbers 9 and 10. I can't just take first number divided by second number. I need to make sure the labels make sense. I want price per tissue. I want price per tissue, not tissues per dollars. So we have to be careful, just like we saw in numbers 9 and 10 on those tables. I can't just automatically try to make one size fits all here and say, oh, I just take the first number divided by the second and I move on. If I do that in this case, the label doesn't make sense. So we want $3.19 divided by 210. And we get approximately, if I round this to the nearest cent, I get 2 cents per tissue. Again, remember, squiggly equal sign means I rounded. Squiggly equal sign means I rounded. Now, if you go ahead and put this on your calculator, this did come out to be 0.01519, etc. I am rounding to 2 decimal places after. So because there's a 5, if it's 5 or bigger after that second spot, we have to round up. I think some of us were kind of struggling with that on those first 10 problems of knowing what to round to. When we're talking dollars and cents, we only want 2 decimal places after the decimal point. So our job for today is to just finish up the problems on this sheet, and that's all we need to accomplish for today. Now while watching this video, please take a minute. I'm just going to scroll through what the answers should be. Please make sure you've tried the questions before you look at the answers. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through. You can pause this video at any time if you need more time to check and answer. Please make sure you've completed all of them. Being very careful that each time it is dollars per whatever item you're looking at, whether it's tickets, square feet, pounds, ounces, bottles of water, whatever it is. And then you also have to be very careful on those last questions. The better deal is the lower price per item. So in 21, you have 5 cents per crayon versus 6 cents per crayon. So the better deal is by only paying 5 cents per crayon. The lower price is the better deal. So just make sure you've chosen the right thing. I know the tables in the front, we were looking for the higher amount of students per teacher and the higher amount of miles per gallon. But now if you're talking about prices and you have unit rates, with price, the lower price is the better deal. So once you have pages 1 and 4 in your packet finished and checked, please make sure you upload them to the 4.2 assignment on It's Learning. You can do that by taking a picture of your assignment and uploading it using the green Answer Assignment button on the 4.2 assignment.